ahead and get started. I am Sherry Mathis. I am the manager of education programs and happy to be here today with another learning hour for you. Today we have Michelle Frederick. She is our equipment and assistive technology manager for the ALS Association. She graduated from the University of Nebraska Medical Center and has been a physical therapist since 2000. Michelle has worked in a variety of settings over her past 24 years, including inpatient settings, outpatient, skilled nursing, school, early childhood intervention, and pediatric outpatient settings. She has always loved equipment and found herself identified as the equipment lady on any team she's been a part of. And I will say that is very true for us here at the association as well. Michelle joined the ALS Association nearly 2 years ago. She has also received her certification as an assistive technology professional. This designation recognizes her demonstrated competence in analyzing the needs of individuals with disabilities, assisting in the selection of appropriate technology to meet those needs, and providing training for the use of selected devices. So we are very grateful to have Michelle on our team and presenting to us today about adapting your home for ALS, practical solutions without breaking the bank. We do expect to have the ability to either put your questions in chat. This is the first time we're doing this as a webinar, so I don't know if we'll be able to hear you, but please, if you have questions as she goes through the presentation, go ahead and put them in chat and we'll make sure that she has time to answer them. So thank you, Michelle.
It is my pleasure. Well, good afternoon. I'm going to dive right into our slideshow here. If you have met me before, you'll know I'm a fairly informal presenter and I will be so happy to answer questions at the end. So please be thinking of them. I'm sure that there are things that will come up that I will not have answered by the time we get to the end of our conversation. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Sherry, let me know when this looks correct.
Yep, it looks good.
All right, very good. And I even have a little laser pointer, which is fun. So I'm going to jump into our first slide and talk a little bit about what it is exactly we're going to be talking about today. Maybe, there we go. All right. So, you know, this is information that is probably not news to you. The first sentence, living with ALS is going to require, not may require, is going to require some adaptations to your home environment. We cannot always predict what those will be and what your needs will be or the timeline for those things. But sooner or later, you may need to change something. You will likely need to change something about your home environment to let you continue to access your home and be safe in your home. A very, very important message that is part of this presentation is just to remind you and to let you know that you have a team of professionals that can help you to make decisions about these kinds of things. And I don't have them listed out here, but you know your clinic team, if you attend an ALS clinic, has physical therapists, occupational therapists, your physician, a number of professionals that can help you make decisions about what kinds of items you may need to be mobile and safe in your home. Your care services team, whether it is your navigator or your care services specialist, is another resource. You may access in your community or through home health some services or even through hospice. And the ALS Association as a whole, including myself, is a resource for a lot of information about what your choices are. The next thing that we'll definitely touch on is there are a lot of solutions to problems that you might encounter that don't necessarily require a complete home renovation. I think that's a fear that a lot of people have, is that for their home to work for them as they experience changes, they're going to have to change a lot of things. And that's so very expensive. So we all as a team can help you to explore an option that not only is safe and workable for you, but that hopefully is also affordable for you. So in this presentation, we're going to talk about some programs that the ALS Association specifically has in place that can help you to continue to access and be safe in your home, as well as identify in a general way some affordable solutions that work in many situations for entering and exiting your home, managing, some of the challenges of your bathroom, transferring, and some technology solutions for managing your home environment. These three programs I'm going to talk about in a little bit more detail. The first one is a virtual home modification and safety assessment. The second is our modular ramp reuse program, and the third is our smart home program. And before moving forward on to the next slide, I do want to just, I'll probably say this a couple of times through here, is you might see some things that look like they are a good solution for you, and they very well may be, but it is so important to have a conversation with your team to determine if that item or that solution is actually a good match for your physical functioning and your home. So crowdsource that information. Don't just make a decision that gets really expensive really fast. So it's helpful to pull in some expertise before you move forward with things. First here, we're going to talk a little bit about our virtual home safety and modification assessment program. And if you are a detail person, you might have noticed that those words are not in the same order as they were in the last slide, and there's a reason for that. It was originally M before S, but safety is something that we address throughout these assessments, and we're shifting. It is really safety and modification. So this is the way that it is ordered moving forward, but you'll see it both ways if you see it anywhere. This visit, this assessment is a virtual visit to your home via Zoom or FaceTime or some other format. It is a visit with an experienced and qualified professional. Everybody that performs these assessments in the organization right now is either a PT, an OT, or an ATP, all with experience and knowledge about ALS, about equipment, and about home modifications. And these assessments focus on safety in your home or getting in and out of your home, as well as accessibility of your home. It discusses with you or gives you options for meeting your current needs and also anticipating and preparing for any future needs, giving you options so that you can make informed decisions. Always, always, always address the areas of being able to enter and exit your home. As I mentioned before, the bathroom, access in the bathroom, and safe transfers. But certainly, any part of your home can come up. It could be, how you're moving between rooms, accessing things in your kitchen, your bed or bedroom setup, transfers, smart home technologies, and emergency preparedness are some of the topics that come up most often. This next slide has a lot going on it, and it was from another presentation, but I hung on to it because I think that it asks, it kind of demonstrates some of the questions that you might be able to answer or get some answers from a virtual home safety and modification assessment. This one on the top left is a big one that comes up. Do I need to do a remodel in my home? Do I need to move? Is my home adaptable? Or how do I adapt my home? My home maybe has some quirky features. Will this item that I see on Amazon or in a store or online work in my space? What other options do I have? Maybe everything is working fine now, but what am I going to need later? Where am I going to find these things that I need? They're not at Walmart. And what is going to be the safest option for me and for my caregiver as well? Other topics that might come up, things you might learn is, items that are discussed. Maybe your insurance will help cover some of those items, and your assessor would be able to discuss that with you. Maybe there are some programs in your state that can help with funding what you need. There's often community resources. The ALS Association maintains some specific items in lending closets. Local charities can be a good resource for things that you need. And sometimes things come up that are really better responded to by your care services team rather than the person doing a home safety assessment. And so you might be just a referral back to the rest of your team to answer some questions that come up. In my next slide, I just want to give an example of that I think demonstrates the value of this virtual home safety assessment program. So this guy, nobody's home really looks like that, but it is just reminding me about a visit. I do some of the visits across the country. There's a couple of other folks that do those as well. But example from a visit that I got to be a part of. So we visited a person's home and they had done all of the things. They had a ramp in place. They had modified their bathroom. They had a rolling shower chair. They had all of the things in place. But because we were able to look together at the space and have just a time for that conversation, we did identify a couple of little helpful things. One was this person has a power wheelchair and they were able to get into any room in their house pretty easily except for their office. And it was just a little bit tight. They were dragging their chair across, into the door as they were passing through the doorway. And this picture is a little bit tricky to see, but this goofy little funny shaped hinge, it's called an offset hinge. And just by trading out the hinges on their door, that door is able to swing fully out of the way of the door frame. So they were able to then drive their chair through without, banging up their woodwork, and also could, not going to hurt their toes or anything as they're making it through the doorway. So just identified that trading out some hinges would give them access to a room they weren't otherwise able to get into very easily. And then for the same home visit, like I said, they had modified the bathroom. They were able to roll into the shower. They had a rolling shower chair, but because we were able to look at it together, we were able to identify that the rolling shower chair that they had didn't really fit well in the space that was available, getting in and out of that shower. And so we were just able to trade that chair out for a different one in the lending closet and made showering so much easier. So really those were teeny tiny changes, pretty minor, but made a big difference in how they were functioning in their home. My next slide is going to move on to talk about the next topic, which is options for getting in and out of your home entry and exit solutions. Not most of us. Most of us are not so fortunate to have no step whatsoever getting in and out of your home. There's usually at the minimum a little threshold and sometimes quite a few stair steps to get in and out of your home. And the obvious solution to most of us is a ramp. And in several of these pictures, there are examples of different sizes and shapes of ramps that can help a person access their home. Sometimes it's a teeny tiny ramp if there's just a little threshold to go over. So that is often a solution for being able to get in and out of your home once you are using an item, whether it's a walker or a wheelchair to get around. There's a couple of pictures in this slide, though, that are of another option. Here is an exterior wheelchair ramp, and over here is an interior, but same design. I said ramp and I meant elevator. It is a wheelchair elevator. And so depending on space, sometimes that is a best solution as well. And specific to ramps, more so than the wheelchair elevators, the ALS Association in this area has worked really hard to come up with a way to help offset the cost. Because whether you're talking about a ramp or you're talking about a wheelchair elevator, the cost of building or contracting or purchasing a ramp to go to let you get in and have your house can be prohibitively expensive for a lot of people. We've launched this program. It's called a modular ramp reuse program. And it works like this. We, in each area that we serve, we've identified a partner um, that their business is designing and installing modular metal ramps. And these are the kind that you have probably seen in the front of people's homes before. They're either, aluminum, like a shiny or black metal, with the sidebars, grab bars, like we saw in the photos a little bit ago. So the partner then will take a look at your home, whether by coming to your home and physically looking at it or working with you to get some photographs and measurements. And we'll design a ramp that is safe, that can manage any equipment that you might need to use, and that will fit in your space. And from that, they will, generate a bid or a cost for this ramp. The ALS Association then can cover 60% of that cost, with a maximum ALS Association investment of $4,800. And the way that this program then perpetuates is that someday, when that ramp is no longer needed, the entirety of that ramp, all of those modular pieces then belong to the ALS Association, and we will be able to reutilize those pieces in the future to build ramps for people later. If this is something that strikes you as useful or helpful, you would reach out to your care services staff for a referral. And your care services staff can also help you to explore any maybe local additional funding in your area if the percentage that you would be responsible for is still prohibitive. But I would really encourage anybody that feels like this might be helpful to explore this. The question I get most often, and I will just be sure to say here, is that having the assessment done and the design completed does not commit you to the purchase. So it can be helpful to do that. And then you kind of know budget-wise what you would need to, what resources you might need to gather to have a ramp installed at a later date. We're going to switch gears a little bit. We're kind of going in those different sections or areas of interest we discussed for that virtual home safety assessment, kind of going through those topics. So the next one I want to talk about a little bit is bathrooms. Now, every bathroom is going to be a little bit different, and every person using that bathroom is going to have a little bit different needs. And so I'm going to show you some examples of solutions for any number of problems. And they may or may not be right examples for you, but really my take-home message here is that if you're having an issue, or if you fear that you might have an issue moving forward, there's probably something to be done. And this is something that is worth having a conversation with, your care services team or your clinic team, or, going through the virtual home safety assessment to really look at your bathroom and your unique needs. So I'm going to just kind of move forward in this. First, I've got some examples of some beautifully either designed or remodeled bathrooms that have all of the barriers removed. You can see that there are wide open shower stalls with no bump or lip or edge to enter or exit. There's grab bars installed. Sinks are easy to roll a chair up to. But guess what? You guys know this already. That's a super expensive endeavor, and it's not in the budget for everyone, or it may not be possible in your space, or for any number of reasons, this might not be the bathroom that is accessible to you. It doesn't mean that your bathroom can't be accessible also. But before I go on, I should say too, we do have information if that is your plan, if that is your future. We do have information about design for an accessible bathroom. So that information is available to you from us if you need that. I'm going to give you just some things you can do about a toilet. Toilets, can be a little bit tricky to get on and off of. I did not include the standard things on here, such as installing grab bars on either side, or installing an extra tall toilet. Those are some straightforward options, but they're not an option for everyone because of space restrictions. Or maybe you live in a place where you are not able to add anything to a wall. So some of these examples that I have here. These are two pictures of what's called a toilet safety frame. It's a freestanding thing that just sits on the floor and is very stable and lets you use your arms to help push yourself up if your legs are not strong enough to do the job well. Next over here is just a little bit fuzzy. This item here, and also seen installed under this toilet, is called a toilevator. And it's basically a plastic sturdy ring that comes with specialized bolts and can be installed under your current toilet to raise it another 3 or 4 inches off the floor. And those 3 or 4 inches can really make a big difference in how easy it is to get on or off of that seat. You can even gain even more. You might already have a tall toilet installed and can still, raise it that much higher, especially if you're a taller person, can be incredibly helpful. The picture on the right is just an example. This comes up quite often and is incredibly useful. It is a picture of a bidet. And here in the States, we don't have bidets as just a standard part of our bathrooms. However, if you are having any difficulty with your hands, then taking care of that hygiene task can be quite a challenge. And a bidet can be a real lifesaver, dignity saver. It just makes that task so much easier. And so that's something, again, that could be discussed. There's some special features that you might want to look for. But not everybody, just because we don't have them around all the time, we're not always thinking, oh, yes, of course, a bidet is the obvious solution. We're going to look a little bit at bath and shower options. And again, these are just some examples of things that might be helpful and would be worth discussing with your team. On the left is a super simple shower chair. There's nothing special about this, right? It just is a chair, but it offers a little back support. It's got some handles on either side of the seat, so it makes it a little bit easier to stand up from it. Something like that might fit very nicely in a walk-in shower and let you take your shower with just a little bit less effort and save your energy for something later in the day. Next here, this will show up in another slide too, but this is an example of a transfer pole. It is tension mounted, so there's no drilling to install this anywhere. You just need to make sure that this works for the height of your room. But it's quite sturdy and quite stable, and this sort of thing can be useful to add a grab bar where you might not be able to add a grab bar in the wall, attached to the wall. Could be useful for the toilet, could be useful for stepping in and out of a shower. This person on the right lower side is using what is called a sliding tub transfer bench. And as you can see, some of the legs fit inside the tub and some to the outside. And what you may not see from the photo is that the chair portion that she's seated on actually slides left and right on those rails. And so without having to step over the lip of the bathtub, this person is able to have a seat then lift legs one at a time over the edge of the tub and end up where they want to be for taking a shower. And then up at the top here is an example of a rolling shower chair. If you have a shower that does not have a bump or a lip at the edge of it, this can be, at some point incredibly useful. If at some point you're not walking, you'll still be able to access your shower and get a nice refreshing shower. All of this didn't fit on that same slide. This is all one thing, and it is a kind of a complicated piece of equipment, but can be incredibly valuable. This is a slightly older model, but it does a good job of explaining this whole thing. This is called a tub transfer system. It consists of a rolling chair that is a little bit narrower than a usual wheelchair, for example, so it can fit in spaces that a wheelchair might not fit. It has a commode cut out, so it could roll over a toilet, but it also can attach with a little piece that removes to a portion that sits inside the bathtub. or inside a walk-in shower. And then this functions like a much higher end sliding tub transfer bench that we saw in the previous slide. So you would not even have to walk into the bathroom. You could, roll into the bathroom and then use this item to both access the toilet as well as getting in and out of the shower. So regardless of the level of assistance you need, at some point there's going to be items that can be helpful for you to continue to access your bathroom. Sometimes there are other things, there are times depending on homes that doesn't matter what you do. There might not be a bathroom on the main floor. There might only be a tiny bathroom on the main floor and no space for adding some things. And so there's still solutions. There's still solutions. So this example here on the upper left is a bedside commode. This can be a multifunctional item. It can serve just as it obviously does as a commode that doesn't have to be in a bathroom to take care of those needs. Also, though, this could go in a bathroom with the bucket eliminated and be used as another means for making your toilet higher and give you a higher seat to stand up from. In this middle picture is a device that would allow you to wash your hair while seated without having to, get in or out of a shower or, dip your head forward into a sink. We've got examples of tiny ramps that might help you with the little bump. If you have a walk-in shower, you could install one both inside and outside to help manage those bumps and be able to roll in and out of the shower. Regardless of the shower, these handheld showers are incredibly helpful, especially if you're going to be seated anytime for cleaning. And then, if there is no way to make a bath or shower accessible in your home, there is such a thing as a roll-in portable shower that can be set up and taken down and can go really in any room in your house. You just need to be able to connect it with a hose to your sink. And there's also a hose to drain it. So you can essentially create with some creativity, if needed, a bathroom where there is none. You might also learn in these visits some things to avoid or to be cautious about. I've just thrown some examples in here of things that probably most of us have seen somewhere, one way or another. The first is an example of one way that you can make a toilet seat higher. And it has some nice features. It's got a handle on either side. I don't love these though, because the bowl of a toilet is a slippery thing for good reason. And so this is just not quite as sturdy and stable if you need to really depend on those handles for some support. They can come off the toilet, and then that's a recipe for disaster. Right below that is an example of the suction cup handlebars. Again, super handy to add to a glass or really smooth, fiberglass shower wall, but they are not reliable. I would hate to depend on something like that. The picture up here, there's on the market these bathtubs that have a door that opens and allow you to step into it, and that does seem on the surface to be a really fantastic solution. Although ultimately, when you think of some of the items that we looked at earlier that would allow you to access a bathtub or a shower, none of those items would have the ability to help you in and out of this tub if standing and taking a little step and turning was not going well. So might be able to steer you, to avoid a potentially expensive investment that may or may not serve you for a long period of time. It can be a little unpredictable. And then I put a picture of a little lawn chair down here. It's a little bit funny, and at the same time, I've seen it before. Sometimes people have used something like this in a shower to sit in, and it can work, but it's just not meant to be stable and be super safe. So it can help steer you away from some solutions that might not be best solutions for you. And then I'm going to talk a little bit more. We've kind of alluded to transfers in the bathroom, but just some other items that often come up in these discussions. when we're talking about moving around safely in your home. I've got just some examples of miscellaneous things here. The one there, we're kind of going to go from the right to the left. So here is an example of a lift recliner. Can be incredibly useful if standing up out of your preferred chair or the couch is difficult. It can really give you some great support for that. It can also be incredibly useful even if at some point you are not standing up and walking, but allow you to have lots of options for really comfortable positioning and repositioning that you have a lot of control over. In the middle and on the left are some examples of other tools that can be very useful for you or for a caregiver if, for example, rolling or moving in your bed is difficult. And these are also types of things that can be discussed with your team or in the context of one of those virtual home visits. This next slide is a continuation, talking a little bit about mechanical lifts. There's a couple of different designs. If standing up, if standing up and turning, if taking steps, those things are not going well for you or are not safe for you or are putting your caregiver at risk, there are solutions that can give you quite a bit more support. On the bottom right is an example of one style. It's called a sit to stand lift. And for obvious reasons, you can see that this gentleman has got some weight on his legs and he's going to remain upright while he gets some help to move from one place to another. On the left-hand side is what we would call a Hoyer style lift. Hoyer is a brand like Kleenex. And this type of lift picks up the entire person and cradles your entire body and provides support, allowing you to be, to move from one surface to another. And really within these pictures is just a reminder to myself to mention that within these lifts, there's quite a few choices when it comes to the type of sling or support that is paired with the device. And again, circling back to your clinic team, your home health team, your community therapy team, if this is something that you need to use, and maybe it's not feeling right or going well, that maybe making some adjustments to pair you with the right sling for you can be the thing that makes all the difference. And then finally, continuing with transfers, there is yet another style that, if you have access to it, is incredibly helpful. This one on the left is called a ceiling track lift. You can see that there is a track installed on the ceiling here, and that, a manufacturer or a vendor of those things can design tracks that can cover either a small distance in your home, or some people set up tracks that go all throughout their home. This portion that has a motor and a thing that goes up and down, that can be actually removed from the track and could be used multiple places in the home. And then there is a sling component with that as well. And so that eliminates the need for an item that like a heavy item that would need to be pushed around in the house. It can be incredibly helpful. Can also be a little expensive, and there's not great funding resources for those, but I want you to know that they exist. I've got my caution sign here next to another option, and we've all seen these, and they can be incredibly helpful in the right place and time. It's called a stair glide. And this sort of device, there's a track along the edge of the stairs and a seat, essentially a chair, that moves along the track up and down a flight of stairs. That can be super helpful. It can be very, very tempting, especially if all of your bedrooms are on another floor of the home, or the bathroom is on another floor of the home. And it genuinely can help you to access that space. But the reason I have that caution on there is also that these can be fairly expensive to install, again, are not typically covered by insurance. And when you are living with ALS, the longevity of it being a safe option for you is a little unpredictable, because in order to use something like this safely, you need to have a means in place for getting on and off of that chair, both at the top and the bottom of the stairs. and also need to be able to really sit really quite safely and strongly on your own, both, holding your head upright and managing your core. And while it's not fun to really imagine that not being, not going well for you, it is something that is important to think about if you're considering a stair lift, is that it may be a solution for a period of time, but it may not be a solution for as long as you're needing it. And that is a good discussion again to have with your team. I get asked a lot of questions about beds for people living with ALS, and I just have put a few things on here that are popular. Many people, if it is in their means, opt to purchase an adjustable bed. It allows you to have your head upright and raise and lower your feet as well. And you get lots of choices on, what you want that mattress to feel like. It's not an option for everybody, and a similar solution is a hospital bed, which is a covered item by Medicare. A hospital bed also allows you to raise and lower your head and feet, and you're able to raise the whole height of the bed up and down, whether it's with a crank or with the remote control, which can be helpful for a caregiver to have the person that they're helping at a height that is comfortable for them. Although most adjustable beds, you do get some choices on how high that bed sits off the floor. It's more that you have to take it apart and add or subtract some pieces with that. But both of those are good options. It just kind of depends on your circumstances, which would be more helpful to you if having your head elevated was going to be helpful. And then in the middle, I've put a couple of options as well for moving around in bed. Again, your needs are unique, as are your bed and your home setup, but there are options such as a bed cane installed on the bed like this, that transfer pole like we saw in the bathroom before, or this is an example of a freestanding trapeze. And so just really depending on what's working well for you. Are your arms helpful or not super helpful? Are your legs what's strong? Can really dictate what's going to be helpful to you in your home. And now I'm going to switch gears and talk about smart homes and smart home solutions. And when I talk about a smart home, I have been very invested in learning about smart home solutions. And so I have a clear picture in my head. But what do I mean by a smart home? That is a technology solution that lets you control things in your home in a different way than you standardly would. The ALS Association has started, I guess it's a little bit over a year ago now, or close to a year now, a specific smart home program where we are able to offer at no cost to you a selection of some really specific devices that will let you have alternative control or access to controlling some items in your environment. And why did this matter to us? Why did we launch this? Why did we want to offer this? First of all, it can improve the safety in your home. It can allow you perhaps another means of calling for help or checking in on a loved one without needing to be able to physically pick up your phone or have your phone handy. Allow you to manage who can or can't access or enter your home, improve your ability to control lights, and just reduce, for some people at some points, you may be able to get up and down to do a thing, but it may, throughout the day get less safe as you get fatigued. And so it may help you avoid some of those types of unsafe transfers to manage some of those things. It can help you control lights, control fans, manage ambient sound, give you access to music, television, audiobooks, shopping on Amazon. And you just need a few things in place that most of us have. And if you don't have, your care services team can also help you connect with resources for obtaining these things if you don't have them. But you need to be able to have internet or Wi-Fi in your home for our program. even if you don't have access to internet or Wi-Fi in your home, doesn't mean you couldn't have some smart home controls. And we would, help you to connect with a resource for that. But ours require internet or Wi-Fi, and that you have either a smartphone or a tablet, at least for installing it. It may not have to remain in the home. And a person identified that's, physically and also tech braveness wise, willing to follow the instructions to do the setup. The ALS Association provides a consultation as far as helping you identify which of the items would be useful for you to develop kind of a custom package. We provide comprehensive setup instructions that are very detailed and very specific, and also some general information about where you would go if you wanted to purchase additional items to add to the items that we can provide. We'll get into a little more specifics here as we go. This slide is just reminding me to mention that our smart home program, these items that we're talking about, I'll kind of talk about some of them, but also it's reminding me that you have a couple of options for what would I control and how. I'm going to start in the middle here with this little outlet plug. This outlet plug just plugs into an ordinary outlet. And anything that you plug into this, again, once you've gone through the setup, you can then power off and on without having to go to that part of your home or go to that item. And the oval there is saying that you can either speak through the Alexa speaker that we could provide and say, Alexa, power on this thing, or you can open up the app on your smartphone or tablet and just touch to turn something off or on in your home. The light bulb next to it, same thing. These light bulbs can go into any standard fixture. So whether it goes into a lamp or goes into the light fixture in your bathroom, once it's set up, again, you can ask Alexa to turn that light off or on, or you can open up your smartphone and go to the app and turn that thing off or on. On the upper right, it's hard to find a picture that really explains what this is. But what this is two items that work together. The one portion is a video doorbell example. So that means if someone comes to your home and rings the doorbell, you don't have to get up and go to the door to respond. You can talk through the Alexa speaker and converse with whoever's at the door, either asking for some more time to get to the door or just having a complete conversation. And the item next to it with the little dial looking thing actually fits over a deadbolt, and you have the ability to ask Alexa to unlock the door. What a great thing to have if the emergency, if the ambulance was called to your home and they don't have to break down your door to get to you because you can unlock the door, or your family member could unlock the door even from the app, even if they weren't there. We're also just, if you don't want to leave your door unlocked, but you have maybe caregivers or family members that come and go, and giving them a key isn't ideal, you can still have some control over who goes in and out of your home. The bottom right is another item that we're able to provide. We can't provide you a television, unfortunately, but this item right next to it is called a fire cube for television. And a lot of people, when I speak with them, are familiar with a Fire Stick, but this is similar. This item plugs into your TV with an HDMI cable, and you can go through an entire setup. Once it's set up, you can use voice commands to change the volume, change the channel, switch to Netflix, play your movie, those kinds of things. So lots that can do. And this page is just reminding me also that commanding things through an Alexa speaker or through an app on your phone is not necessarily the right solution for everybody. If you already have a communication device, a speech generating device, we're happy to collaborate with either your rep or your speech therapist or the OT at clinic, because it might make more sense to do some of these controls for your environment through the device. This can be also true with some power wheelchairs. They have some ability to do remote controls. So we provide the Alexa speaker system, but there are other ways that these items can sometimes be powered off and on, and we want to make sure that those things are tailored to you so they work for you. And I see that I've been talking a long time, so I'm going to keep on going here and try to get through all of my slides. I have just a couple pictures here. There are more things that can be powered through or can be controlled remotely or through an Alexa system or through other systems that we don't provide. But I just want you to know that there are more. A really popular example, but that requires having an electrician do an install in many cases, is to have a smart thermostat. You can control the temperature in your home. Over here is an item that would open and close your curtains on command. And then on the right, raise and lower your blinds. And they feel like little things when I say them, but man, oh man, is it important to be able to control how bright it is in my room or how warm it is in my room. We also can visit with you and potentially provide some lower tech options that are big solutions. These two items on the left are pretty simple. They're wireless doorbells or wireless pagers that can either be, this one's portable and can be worn on a caregiver's, waist or belt or whatever, and this one just plugs into the wall, that you would be able to at least get someone's attention without having to speak, to yell, to do anything else to get their attention. And then this on the right is an example of a voice amplifier, which your clinic speech therapist would be the person to talk to about that, whether that is a good solution for, anything that might be changing with your voice. I've got next here just a quote from somebody that really dove in to our smart home program when we offered it, and really just made it their own and really took it as far as they could and really made it their own. And so this is a direct quote. They said, with my voice or my speech generating device and my smartphone, I can control the front door lock, lamps, fan, sound machine, music, podcasts, TV, movies, cable channels, volume, and power. That's a lot of stuff. I am creating morning and bedtime routines on Alexa, so I can give one command and Alexa will do multiple actions. I'm also programming my speech generating device with all of the commands so that I can initiate commands with my eyes. So she was preparing herself that not only was she getting familiar with this smart home and making lots of things happen with a simple command, but also was preparing for a time when her voice might not be able to do those commands and she would have an alternate way. So there's a lot you can do with a relatively small number of items to have just ongoing control over your space. And then finally, I'll keep this brief. Other things often come up in those virtual home safety visits, and we are resources of information for those things. So just when we talk about emergency preparedness, that's a topic that we try to touch on. Things like, do you need backup for power in your home, depending on what kinds of devices you use, and what would that look like? Things like identifying whether or not you need to alert your utilities to your needs so that you can be a priority if there's an event that causes power to go out. Discussing whether or not you need to put in an alert with the local emergency services so that if they respond to your home, they have a little information about your specialized needs before they get there, so that they don't provide an incorrect care or something that you don't want. We also can provide a wallet card and an app where you can store some of that information and have it on you all the time. If you have other needs, things like advanced care needs planning, respite needs, transportation, a lot of these things may come up in a conversation that's about your home, and you would get referred back to your care services team, who will have all of this information and be able to have a good discussion with you and help you kind of satisfy those needs. So finally, I've mentioned it a couple of times, but I'm going to wrap up with it one more time here. you have got a team of people that can help you identify what it is you need, what your options are, so you can make a good informed choice and decisions about things that you need in your home or that you need in case of emergencies. This virtual home safety modification assessment professional can help you do a comprehensive review of your home and personalize some recommendations. Your clinic team will be able to assess your physical needs and help match you with items that are going to meet your physical needs. They can provide orders for home health, physical therapy, or occupational therapy for training if there's pieces of equipment you need to use. I'm thinking specifically of the slide where we talked about some different types of lifts. Having training on how to use those safely is super important. And your clinic team can also provide orders for items that would be covered by your insurance. Your care services team can help coordinate on topics that come up but are not in the realm of a virtual home safety assessment, things like the advanced care planning and connecting you with local resources that are available to you. So I rushed that, I feel like, a little bit at the end because, oh my goodness, it is 1:53 already. I didn't know I could talk so long, and I want to give a little bit of time for questions if anybody has questions.
Thank you, Michelle. So many different options without totally rehabbing a home to make the environment more livable for someone with ALS. I don't see anything in the chat. Is there anyone that has a question? I'm not sure if I can hear you if you do it or if you'll need to put it in the chat. So I think Michelle did a great job of being pretty comprehensive with the things she presented, but if you have any questions right now, we can take those. And always remember, like Michelle said, your care service team is a great resource for any of these kinds of things, any kind of programs. You know, bottom line, if you've got a challenge and you're not sure what to do, they're a great resource to start with. So I'm not seeing any questions. I'm going to go ahead and tell you in next month on April 16th. Okay, wait, maybe you've got a question. How much extra room?
Amy, I see you started. Oh, how much extra room do offset hinges add? Good question, Amy. Amy and I have known each other for a long time, Sherry. It varies. It can be 1.5 or 2 inches, but when you look at a door, and you can see that you know, some portion of the door frame opening is filled, you know, by the corner or the edge of the door. The entirety of the door swings completely out of that frame with an offset hinge. So it can be anywhere from 1/2 inch to a couple of inches, just depending on how your door is currently set up.
Great question. Thank you, Michelle. Sorry, Amy and Michelle. So any other questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I'm just going to tell you briefly that our next learning hour is on Tuesday, April 16th. And we have the executive director for Hope Loves Company, who's going to be speaking to us about youth as caregivers with ALS, kind of understanding the needs, the impacts, and most importantly, the support that's available to support our children and youth on their unique journey with ALS. So if you have any children involved or grandchildren involved, that might be a really good one to pay attention to. Looks like we have another question from Vicki. Do you like the new chairs on wheels that have a set that opens?
I see your question, Vicki, and I'm not quite sure if I am envisioning what you're envisioning. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure what the item is you might be asking me about, but you've got my contact information. If you want to shoot me an email or a text with like a link for the item, I'd be happy to chat with you about what it is.
Yeah, I saw somebody raise a hand. I'm trying to see if I can figure that out. I can't see it now. If you raise your hand and raise it again, I'll see if I can open this for you to talk or type in the question. I don't think I'm seeing it. Let's see, one more.
Thanks, you guys. We're just learning how to do this in this format. So
yeah, so we're getting there, but Okay. Well, I think we've answered all that we've seen, so thank you for joining us today and hope you can join us for the next ones that we have. When we do sign off of here, there is a brief survey. We really appreciate your taking a moment to respond to those. Helps us know if we're providing the kind of information you need, or if you got some suggestions for other topics, that'd be great. So thank you, Karen, and thank you, Michelle. Thank you all for being here. We look forward to seeing you again at the next one.
Thanks, everyone.